In this episode, we'll learn about the TOEFL speaking test format. There is a total of 4 speaking tasks in the TOEFL speaking section. The questions are spoken only once at the end of the lecture or conversation. So to answer correctly, you must anticipate what the questions will be while you are reading or listening. Question 1 asks to choose one option among a few alternatives and then asks to explain your reasons for your choice. There is no correct answer. You have 15 seconds to prepare and 45 seconds to speak. This is an example of an actual TOEFL test for question 1.
Some college students choose to take courses in a variety of subject areas in order to get a broad education. Others choose to focus on a single subject area in order to have a deeper understanding of that area. Which approach to course selection do you think is better for students, and why?
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
Questions 2, 3, and 4 are called integrated speaking questions, since the questions are composed of reading or listening and then speaking. These questions have correct answers. In question 2, you first read a short passage relating to campus situation, like graduation requirements or campus parking service. Then you listen to a conversation between 2 students. While you read and listen, you should take notes on the main points so that you can later speak about how the 2 parts are related. You have 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. This is an example of task 2.
The university is planning to eliminate its bus service. Read the article from the university newspaper about the plan. You will have 45 seconds to read the article. Begin reading now.
I don't like the university's plan.
Really? I've ridden those buses, and sometimes there were only a few people on the bus. It did seem like kind of a waste.
I see your point, but I think the problem is the route's out of date. It only goes through the neighborhoods that have gotten too expensive for students to live in. It's ridiculous that they haven't already changed the route, so it goes where most off-campus students live now. I bet if they did that, they'd get plenty of students riding those buses.
Well, at least they're adding more parking. It's gotten really tough to find a space.
That's the other part I don't like, actually. Cutting back the bus service and adding parking's just going to get students to drive on campus. And that'll just add to the noise around campus and create more traffic. And that'll increase the need for more parking spaces.
Yeah, I guess I can see your point. Maybe it would be better if more students used the buses instead of driving.
Right. And the university should make it easier to do that, not harder.
The man expresses his opinion of the university's plan to eliminate the bus service. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
In question 3, you first read a short passage relating to an academic topic. Then you listen to a lecture relating to the academic topic. Your job is explaining the topic based on the reading and lecture. You have 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. This is an example of question 3. Read the following passage for 45 seconds.
Is discussing audience effects.
Okay, so we said that the way we interact with others has an impact on our behavior. In fact, there's some interesting research to suggest that in one type of interaction, when we're being observed, specifically when we know we're being watched as we perform some activity, we tend to increase the speed at which we perform that activity. In one study, college students were asked to each put on a pair of shoes with laces they would have to tie. Now, one group of students was told that they would be observed. The second group, however, didn't know they were being observed. The students who were aware that they were being watched actually tied their shoes much faster than the students who thought they were alone. Other studies confirm the same is true even when we're learning new activities. Let's say someone is learning a new task, for example, learning how to type. When they're conscious of being observed, they'll likely begin typing at a much faster rate than they would if they were alone. But, and this is interesting, the study also showed that certain common behavior, things people typically do, like making mistakes when you're learning something new, that behavior pattern will also increase. So in other words, when we're learning to type and we know we're being watched, we'll type faster, but we'll also make more mistakes.
Explain how the examples of tying shoes and learning to type demonstrate the principle of audience effects.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
In question 4, you listen to a lecture. Your job essentially is to summarize the lecture. You have 20 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. This is an example of question 4.
So, let's talk about money. What is money? Well, typically people think of coins and paper bills as money, but that's using a somewhat narrow definition of the term. A broad definition is this: money is anything that people can use to make purchases with. Since many things can be used to make purchases, money can have many different forms. Certainly, coins and bills are one form of money. People exchange goods and services for coins or paper bills, and they use this money, these bills, to obtain other goods and services. For example, you might give a taxi driver $5 to purchase a ride in his taxi, and he in turn gives the $5 to a farmer to buy some vegetables. But as I said, coins and bills aren't the only form of money under this broad definition. Some societies make use of a barter system. Basically, in a barter system, people exchange goods and services directly for other goods and services. The taxi driver, for example, might give a ride to a farmer in exchange for some vegetables. Since the vegetables are used to pay for a service, by our broad definition, the vegetables are used in barter as a form of money. Now, as I mentioned, there's also a second, a narrower definition of money. In the United States, only coins and bills are legal tender, meaning that by law, a seller must accept them as payment. The taxi driver must accept coins or bills as payment for a taxi ride, okay? But in the U.S., the taxi driver is not required to accept vegetables in exchange for a ride. So a narrower definition of money might be whatever is legal tender in a society, whatever has to be accepted as payment.
Using points and examples from the talk, explain the two definitions of money presented by the professor.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
Okay, that's all the question types.